The Elder Scrolls series is one that I hold closely. It is probably the series I burnt the most time in my childhood, tied of the Fallout series, and the game series I care about the most as its world and lore is unmatched, except compared to the Souls games from FromSoft. With it being over a decade since the release of Skyrim, and a year since Starflop's release, it's safe to assume we will be hearing about the Elder Scrolls 6 soon and finally getting an ETA on its release. I've been going through all the older series from Daggerfall all the way to Skyrim, seeing the progression of the series, and with that, and making a video of what I believe would be a perfect sequel to the Elder Scrolls series. Before I start, make sure to comment down below what your ideal Elder Scrolls features would be, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. The first thing I want to see is the return of multiple major and minor factions, including different arenas and tournaments to compete in. For example, in Daggerfall you could become a knight of different orders, join the Fighters Guild, Mages Guild, Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, and become a member of whatever temple of the god that you want to be affiliated by. Plus, you could be a part of different vampire bloodlines and witch covens, one of which could summon Hurricane, and you could also join political parties. Don't get me wrong, a lot of the quests for these factions were randomly generated, and only a few were actual proper quests. However, the variety made you feel each city and province were completely separate from one another, and has its own sort of ecosystem, which in turn made you feel as though you are in a living, breathing world with different cultures and values in every different area you went to. Morrowind had way less factions, but almost all of them were joinable and really fleshed out. Oblivion actually had more, but half of them you couldn't join. Also, there were no more vampire bloodlines. Skyrim had slightly more joinable factions, but only a handful felt unique, as most of them felt kind of slapped together, like the Thieves Guild, the College of Winterhold, and the Bards College. For Elder Scrolls 6, it would be the perfect point in the series to go back to the Elder Scrolls roots and make multiple major and minor unique factions for all different areas, including different vampire and werewolf bloodlines, witch covens, and knightly orders for respective cities and townships. Even the ability to join the town guard would be a major and unique world building and RPG element, which previous games tried to touch on but never really had the chance to do. The arena system, which I'm sure will come back as it was planned for Skyrim but got cut due to time constraints, I feel should be expanded by having multiple arenas like Oblivion planned to have, which have their own differences in fighting style, or even have NPCs turn up in different arenas as if they are touring the province, making a living fighting combatants and monstrous creatures for the crowds. And why restrict the arenas to cities? Townships or even big campsites could have their own tournament system in certain parts of the map, which would have their own sets of rules and ranks and unique rewards. Another thing I would like to see return to the Elder Scrolls 6 is the attribute and class systems from Morrowind and Oblivion. What I noticed from Oblivion to Skyrim the most when I played it was the absence of the class and attribute systems, which also meant no more speed stat and all the other stats for that matter. I feel that Elder Scrolls deserves to have this old system back, as although it did restrict your one character to what class and attributes you chose to start with, it did make the game have higher replay value due to trying different builds. It made the game more of a sandbox to the fact it could max out stats and expand them past 100, which would make for memorable moments such as the infamous skooma overdose from Oblivion and Morrowind, and it can also be improved with some type of respec system similar to other RPGs in the genre such as Cyberpunk and Elden Ring. This also would be good to see back into Fallout in its original state. The perk system in Fallout 4 didn't make any cohesive sense, and it's just all around poorly thought out, way oversimplifying something that was already simple. I pray to the Nine Divines that the Fallout 4 version of this system does not come back in either Elder Scrolls 6 or a Fallout sequel. Anyway, the next on my list is the return of spellmaking and non-combat spells that are purely just for fun. In Morrowind and Daggerfall, I had the most fun just levitating everywhere and sometimes forgetting to slow fall back down. This was removed in Oblivion and Skyrim due to the cities needing their own world spaces, but the spellmaking was removed due to how spreadsheety it was. Words from Todd Howard. I would have to agree partly that yes, it is spreadsheety, but isn't your armor and weapons spreadsheety with how you're comparing them? And aren't potions and food spreadsheety with how you're comparing them? Spreadsheetiness isn't inherently a problem when it comes to RPGs, because that's just how these games work. You are trying to get the best and most powerful things in the game. Spellcrafting, I feel, is a major thing to have in an Elder Scrolls game, as you can not only fine-tune what you need in situations you can encounter in the world with your playstyle, but you can also make stuff just to have fun, such as damage fatigue, paralysis, make overpowered fireballs that pretty much destroy a whole area of people, and much, much more. I think Bethesda sometimes forgets that if people are going to play these games for years and years, they need these seemingly small features, as these small features they add turn into another bag full of reasons to keep playing the game for gamers and non-gamers. I also would like to see sub-races and possibly new races. Khajiits and Argonians in Morrowind didn't have humanoid legs, but legs more like their actual real-life counterparts. If you look more into it, the Khajiits' different subraces are explained from them being born under different moon cycles, and the Argonians are explained through the Hist and the different tribes. I feel races that are very obviously not man or elf, they should be less humanoid and more like beasts. Having sub-races will not only allow people to play as unique versions of their favourite beast races, but also allow people to play with Skyrim and Oblivion counterparts as well. As for the new races I would like to see, I think it'd be cool to see at least one Akaviri race such as the Snake People or Tangmao, and possibly Dremora being a playable race. The Akaviri mystery would only be fueled by the addition of a single race from there, as they will pretty much be only partially explaining Akaviri for only that one race, meaning they could only tell people about tidbits of lore of Akavir through their own perspective. Dremora Living Unknown has already happened a few times, so the inclusion of them as a rare race in the world would make sense with the Oblivion Crisis and some Dremora such as Valixan and Harold Kahathi having lived unknown for some time. All these races and sub-races will add onto the world and make it feel even more living and breathing with the extra variety of people to fight, talk to, and just generally interact with, and could also set up completely new and unique quest lines involving different sub-races or the non-Tamriel based races. One feature I would like to see that I feel would add a whole new level of immersion is the ability to buy a ship, upgrade and customize it, and go sailing around to different islands and possibly fight other seafarers, pirates, and possibly big sea creatures. The Elder Scrolls Oceans have always been somewhat mysterious, with almost no quests involved being in the sea, and almost no lore being about what could be out there apart from a few islands, slodes, pirates, and mythological creatures. It would be pretty cool to sail around and find unique spells and items that can't be found on the mainland, and again, possibly interact with a new race, the slodes, and fighting giant mysterious creatures. Another thing that isn't really a feature but more of a suggestion is less building areas. You're probably thinking, hang on, less? The system is so good and adds so much creativity. And to that, I agree. But you also have to agree that 1. Preston is so damn annoying with all these settlements needing help even though they're practically a whole damn military base in the middle of nowhere. And 2, having so many useless buildable areas kind of made the game map a whole bunch less interesting, as the sole purpose of some locations is literally just building. I feel having 3 categories of building in Elder Scrolls 6 could alleviate a lot of these problems. One of these types include campsites. Similar to Red Dead 2 and Fallout 76, you could have a small transportable campsite that could be extremely helpful when traveling to different locations that are far from civilization. It could be good for being able to craft things without having to fast travel to the nearest town or city. This also would add a lot in terms of immersion, as if you really wanted to, you could play the whole game without feeling the need to constantly use the fast travel system, which in turn will encourage more people to continue exploring the landscape. The second type could be your own personal house plot, and this could be an already built house in town where you can change stuff on the inside or even purchase furniture for your house similar to Fable. Could be just a plot of land to build your own home, or could be a plot of land just outside the city walls to build a farm or meadery or whatever you can imagine. This would be a great advancement from previous Elder Scrolls games and could be the foundation of a farming faction or even a merchant faction, allowing a way to play the game passively and not violently. The third type is obviously town building. This should be very sparingly put around the map and should have big quests for them in order for you to start building. That way it will feel like an actual achievement to get this far and build your own town. Also, more depth could be given to the certain areas, as similar to my first few feature suggestions, different towns could have different cultures, races, and factions around your town, which could snowball into an awesome, natural feeling system that offers unique interactions and quests for those areas. That's all for my wish list at this point in time, and it would be cool to see some of these features I've mentioned in a future game for the series. At this point in time, Bethesda has had flop after flop, and I pray to the 9 that this new Elder Scrolls will allow Bethesda to try something unique and add all new systems rather than dumbing it down and playing it safe. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and comment down below what you would like to see in the next Elder Scrolls. And I'll see you guys next time.